When I got my mission call to Taiwan and I gave my farewell, one of the things I said was I would like to serve my mission for the Tyson wilds who didn't get that same opportunity.
This was a cold case of sorts, and the story of Tyson Wild has been buried for nearly 40 years. In 1984, I was a young stringer for a local television news station. I would enterprise my own stories and intended to do a feature about hospice, people dealing with the end of life. That is where I was introduced to Tyson, a unique young man whom I never met conscious. He was experiencing his last mortal breaths on this earth. Before he died, I shot and interviewed the family in their own home. Later, I recorded his viewing and funeral and burial. But for some reason, I never did anything with the footage. All those old 3/4-inch tapes were hidden in boxes and yet survived several moves. Everyone knows or knew of a Tyson Wild, a friend, a brother, a sister, a classmate who never got to finish growing up like the rest of us.
What are the happy things about Tyson leaving his body? That he'll join his sister and his grandpa that are on the other side, and that he'll be able to leave the sick body is the neatest thing. And because of our religion, we just understand that he'll be Tyson. He'll be Tyson again. He'll be able to do and feel just like Tyson normally feels.
My mom's 78 now, and hearing her voice in the same tone of my childhood, it's kind of surreal. What I remember about this is Tyson was really sick at that point. His ability to communicate, especially towards the end, like I remember that. So I go from my brother being very, I'm his shadow, and he was so sick that, you're your best friend. You lost your best friend slowly.
How about you? What do you think of all this?
I was 8 at the time when my brother passed away, and
what do you tell your friends at school that's going on in your home? Kind of keep it to yourself.
Just the memories of those moments all came back. Just being able to see those experiences of my parents, my brother, my sister, family members that were at his funeral, that were coming through the line there. Crazy that after 38 some odd years that all that has found its way back into my life.
I was just a little kid, and one of my friends passed away. He was in my ward, he was in my scout troop, and he was buried in his scout uniform, which I thought was unique. I didn't know that was even a thing.
There was fear the first time that we don't feel this time.
I was born March 11th. My sister passed away April 25th. So this is the only picture we actually have. There's a family picture with all 4 kids. I was a preemie, my lungs weren't developed. Stacy was in the hospital with leukemia. I was born 6 weeks early, and she passed away 4 weeks after I was born. And so we had this brief cross of being here in this earth life together.
And I tried to take such good care of that boy, and I told him, I said, Mom's going to take really good care of you. Then when it's time for Mom and Dad to pass through the veil and to be with you, you and sister just look out for Mom and Dad.
And it was the second in the Wild family of their child dying of cancer.
I remember very distinctly where we were. I remember my mom picking Tyson and I up and going to the doctor. He'd been complaining about some pain in his knee. Right off the bat, they knew things weren't good and ordered more tests, and that's when they found out that he had osteogenic sarcoma, which, an 8-year-old, probably most 8-year-olds don't know what that means.
I wish I knew what was going on more than I did. Tyson got cancer, and it got bad enough where they amputated his leg.
I have never felt that we would raise him with her, and initially attributed that to Stacy's condition and death.
Probably knew that this would be the end result, but what can you do but take one day at a time? And that's what we've done. And just enjoy good days. The minute we would leave that hospital, hey, we forgot it. And we just have a lot of love in our family, and we've lived normally in the good days.
I'm the little brother, so I look at my own kids. I have a seventh grader and a second grader, so we've got a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. So roughly about the same. Tyson and I were 4 years apart. I was the bratty little brother. I always wanted to be in my brother's business and wanted to see what he was doing. He was my everything. He was my, you just looked up to him. He was the one that got me in trouble because he'd frank me because, he didn't want to get in trouble. It was his little brother's fault. And I think I was a little bit probably naive that, okay, they amputated his leg and we're good.
They amputated his leg in November, and like he had an ingrown toenail. He was just sure that they were going to take his toe off. He said, well, look what they did to my leg,
Unfortunately, it didn't. The cancer spread. They noticed he had spots on his lungs.
There are a couple other considerations. If we hadn't done everything that we felt possible to do, there would be remorse. But we feel like we have done everything that was humanly possible.
Through a trial, through not only a trial, but he'd already lost one child. And so he's sharing how he's getting through this. There's footage of the viewing, and I see me wandering around, trying to figure out, 8-year-old Travis and figuring out what I should be doing. But my parents are there greeting people, and people are devastated by this. This was a hard one. A lot of people knew Tyson's story. Tyson, they knew of his battle. He went to Lake Ridge, 7th grade year. He ran for student body president.
He was voted, elected to be president of our 8th grade class.
He went to the principal, and I remember the principal's name, but he went to the principal and said, I'm probably not going to make it back next year. So seeing the footage of my parents, not only were they dealing with their own grief, they were dealing with the grief of the community.
Even at that time, computers and games and he was just Tyson Wilde.
I'm fascinated by cybersecurity, but I always tell people I couldn't write code. My brother, he would have probably not only written code, he would have just, he would have thrived.
He asks Mom and Dad questions. You climb in bed with him at 9:30 at night, and then everything comes out.
Do you like to hold it in?
Do you like to hold it in?
I don't think I've ever thought to myself, what if Tyson would have lived?
In my mission farewell, I definitely made the statement that I wanted to serve my mission for Tyson Wilde because he didn't have that opportunity.
And like I tell Travis, if we keep our commandments, then we can be an eternal family. We can be a forever family and be together.
Tyson passed away in '84. My senior year in high school, '94, my mom's diagnosed with breast cancer. Not only did she recover, she spent years after volunteering with the American Cancer Society, and she'd go into the homes of women after they'd been diagnosed.
Heavenly Father, please check your records and make sure it's Tyson you're calling home. He was born August 6, 1971. He's 5'4", he weighs 98 pounds. He has a dimple in his left cheek and one in his chin. If the records are correct and you do want him, I will call him back. But don't let him suffer. Let him go quickly.
Whether or not I've experienced Tyson's, have My mom certainly has, yes. My mom, several occasions where she's known Tyson's around. For me, I'd say it's more my dad.
I wouldn't cheat him out of his eternal destiny. Heaven forbid that, say, put up your hands and say, stop now, let's turn back, let's plug him in, let's do whatever. It would be ludicrous to put a hold on things.
I missed my dad's advice. I missed being able to go to my dad and ask questions. But there's certainly times when I felt my dad, his nearness and his steadiness, and just that, Travis, you're gonna be okay. This will work out. Just, stay the course, you'll be fine. That steadiness, that rock, that to me is important.
When we're living here and people die young like that, it's something about that just hits so much harder than someone who passes away after a life well lived. And that was certainly the case with Tyson. Again, we were young and it was hard to process exactly what was going on. It was just hard.
My sister and I joke, boy, it'd sure be nice if Stacy and Tyson were around to deal with some of this stuff and to help out a little bit. In the same regard, I don't think either one of us likes to joke about that. We understand that, and it's just the way we were taught from an early age, that it's part of the plan.